The line, it looked like Disney World. It was wrapped around, like up and down, and it was just like, what is this? Is it too early to check in? And they're like, yes, yes, it is. Your room's not ready. Let's talk about the tan. The tan was kind of a disaster. Hello, everybody. Today we are going to talk about Georgia. So I did a show in my hometown and then immediately turned around the next weekend and did a show in Georgia. Now, this was an INBF show. I was a little nervous because one of the goals that I had set for myself this season was I wanted to qualify for Worlds. Georgia was pretty much my only opportunity now because I didn't realize that the deadline to enter Worlds was October 1st. And Georgia was on September 24th. Now, I had tried to do an INBF show earlier in the season, back in August. It got canceled, and then there wasn't really another one. Georgia was pretty much it as far as getting qualified for Worlds. So I didn't like the timing of it because it was the second show in two back-to-back shows, which I swore that I never would do again. But yeah, I decided to do it. One of the reasons is that first show in the two back-to-back shows was in my hometown, so I didn't have to travel anywhere. Made it a little bit easier, but yeah. So what to say about Georgia? Started off, went to the airport and had trouble getting through security. I didn't realize that I had some like hairspray in my carry-on that I normally don't have in my carry-on. Got pulled aside and I was like, why is my bag getting pulled aside? And so they stopped me, and anyway, not a big deal, but it just, starting off your trip, you want things to be smooth, and it was not a very smooth start to the trip, but it was fine, like just a few extra minutes at security. We weren't late or anything. Actually got to Georgia a little bit early, which was good. Because the hotel was about an hour drive away from the airport. And so I had reserved a rental car. Probably got there a little bit before 10. I'm thinking like by the time we get our luggage, get the rental car, probably get to the hotel by noon. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. I think my polygraph was supposed to be at 3 that afternoon. And so I'm like, okay, we'll have time to like get there, maybe find a grocery store, check into the hotel, and I can kind of chill for a little bit. I like to kind of like chill, get my mind right before the polygraph so that I'm not just like running around crazy and then I have to go take this polygraph. So the line for the rental car, it looked like Disney World. It was wrapped around, like up and down, all around, and there were people like sitting on the floor. And it was just like, what is this? And we finally realized that all of these people had rental car reservations, but they didn't have enough cars. So you had to wait an hour and a half in line just to get to the front counter, just to say, hey, I have a reservation. Okay, that's how long the line was. It was an hour and a half just to get to the counter. And then they say, it's going to be another hour to an hour and a half for your car. So everybody that was sitting on the ground had already checked in and they were waiting for a car to become available. And it was like the biggest mess. So we finally got in line because we had to get our luggage and everything. So we got in line like 10:30. And we're like listening to people talk around us, like how long they've been waiting in line, how long it's taking to get a car. And I'm like trying to like calculate this in my head, like it's an hour. And then I'm looking at the maps and like, I guess there was an accident like headed to Macon. So the hour drive is now like an hour 20. And I'm like calculating this in my head. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to be really pushing it to get to my polygraph. I figured I could probably like text someone and be like, hey, I'm stuck in traffic, I'm stuck at the airport, and I'm sure they probably could have like worked me in, at a different time or whatever. But still, it's kind of stressful. Like you hate putting somebody out, you hate like inconveniencing other people. All I could do was just just keep my fingers crossed that this line was going to move quickly, that we could get our car quickly, and, you know, just get there before the polygraph. So I actually went to one of the other car companies' counters that had nobody in line. I was like, do you have any cars available? And they're like, only if you have a reservation. I'm like, oh, I've got a reservation at the other place, unfortunately. So we finally got up to the counter at like 11:45, and they're like, it's probably going to be another hour to hour and a half for your car. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be pushing it. And my husband's like, it's fine. We're going to be fine. We've got plenty of time. Well, his watch didn't update to the Eastern time zone when we landed in Atlanta. So he's thinking it's like 9:30 when it's really 10:30. We finally like got out of the airport around 1. And thankfully the accident or whatever was holding up traffic had cleared up by the time we got on the road. And so it was a little over an hour to get to the hotel. And then I go in and I'm like, is it too early to check in? And they're like, yes, it is. Your room's not ready. I'm like, that's fine, whatever. Went to the grocery store. By now it's getting close to 3 o'clock, like getting close to polygraph time or whatever. But we just waited in the lobby, had a little snack, and went to take my polygraph. And, you know, that always makes me a little nervous, but that was fine. Got done with that, went downstairs. The room was finally ready, so we checked in, got to the room, got settled for a little bit. Everything was good. Okay, I'm like, okay, we're good now. We finally made it here, got to the polygraph on time. I think I had tanning at like 4:30, so I had a little bit of time to chill, eat a little snack, and went to tan at 4:30. Let's talk about the tan. So the tan was kind of a disaster.